Welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Friday, the best day of the week, I'm pretty sure. I am Chris. Sat next to me is Chris, and we are the Writing Community Chat Show. We hope you've had a fantastic week. And how are you doing, Chris?
Yeah, very good, thank you. I'm so excited to be here today and talk to today's guests because they are absolutely incredible. I've read their book. I'm so excited to get them on and actually chat to them.
Brilliant. Hello, Linda in the chat. It's nice to hear from you guys, and I hope you do enjoy the chat because it makes us very happy, the conversations that you guys have, although a lot of it you definitely can't put on the screen, but which is why we like it so much. So we hope you've had a good week, and, there's been a lot of conversation on Twitter, Chris. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Goodreads has been playing up massively. And it's deleted a lot of people's reviews, 5 and 4 stars particularly. And the one thing I've got a strong message for Goodreads about that. What I want to say is, why couldn't you delete the 1, 2, and 3 star reviews? I mean, come on. If you're going to do something, delete the rubbish reviews and leave the good ones, please.
Yeah, this is the moment where I say, yeah, I had 5,000 reviews, but then they all disappeared.
Yeah, Goodreads are like, oh, if you had any reviews that have gone, please email us. You're like that. I got these many reviews.
And you Didn't I have 1 million before you had this glitch?
Yeah. So by the way, do let us know if you've been affected by that. It's very interesting. I'm not sure why. I know there was some trending on Twitter start of last week. There was a lot of big, companies hacked. Is this a part of that? I'm not sure. But if you've been if you've been affected by that, please let us know.
You make us sound like a helpline for Goodreads.
Yeah. If you've been affected by the Goodreads scandal, please inform us, and we will talk about that, I guess. Hello, Connor. Hello, Anya. Hello, Joanne. Hello, Mario. Lalai Love. There's so many of you on the chat, and it's fantastic to see you all. Thank you for tuning in. And let's do our beer token sponsor so we can get a guest on, because I'm waffling again, Chris. Yeah. You guys may have known last week we've got a new sponsor for this segment of the show, and that is the Bison Beer Company down in Brighton. Absolutely brilliant. They sent us out a good few beers, and I'm having my first Cosmic Bone Juice today. And that is indeed the Lionel Richie on the front of that. Why, I don't know, but I'm enjoying it.
It's the best name for a beer I've ever heard, Cosmic Bone Juice.
It really is. And I love that label as well. It's fantastic. So thank you to you guys. And the Bison Beer Token book promotion is the chance for you guys to support this show and to promote your own book or someone else's if you nominate them and be a super, super cool person. So that beer token promotion today, Chris, I will let you take the lead on this one.
Yeah, so talking about being a super cool person and promoting somebody else's book, this is exactly what I'm doing today. Now, I saw this book on Twitter. The cover launch for this book was today. So I saw it and it really took my eye. So I thought we've got to have that on the show and have that as the beer token book promotion tonight. So that's exactly what we're doing. And that book, if I look in the corner, should appear for you now.
It should do. There it is.
It's from Stephen J. Golds, and it's I'll Pray When I'm Dying. And if you can see, it's really cool retro cover, so that's why I was drawn to that. And I'll just read the blurb for that on the back. So it says, do all sons become their fathers? Ben Hughes is a corrupt Boston vice detective and a bagman for the Southie mob. Already desperately struggling with obsessive compulsions and memories of traumatic childhood, his world begins to fall apart at the seams, triggered by the photograph of a missing child in a newspaper and the anniversary of his father's death 20 years earlier. And it's a crime noir novel, and it's already received some really big praise from some fantastic authors as well. So yeah, if you're into crime and you like noir fiction, definitely check that out. It's not out yet. It comes out on the 29th of June, but we thought the cover was too good to turn the opportunity down of showing it on tonight's show.
It is indeed, and it has had some fantastic, hype already. Mario says, I don't have enough reviews on Goodreads to be affected. I'm pretty sure that's a lie, Mario. You certainly do. And that's, I think, the only comment about that at the moment. But it's interesting. I'm sure Halo said she had like 100 reviews disappear. I mean, that's incredible. The fact she had 100 4 or 5-star reviews is incredible. But well done to you. So let's get on tonight's guest, because it's very exciting, and we always talk about how good it is to have these stories on and see people's journeys and the way that they are bossing the game, I guess. There's a lot of people that are doing exceptionally well, and this person does that indeed. Hang on there. I lost 28 ratings on Moon Hunters. Joanne Paulson lost 111. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, tonight's guest, to do this person justice, we've had lots of authors on this show now. We've been doing it for over a year, and we've interviewed hundreds of authors, and a lot of them speak very highly of this guest and her books in particular. So to have her on the show is an absolute privilege, and I can't believe that we're actually going to announce her now, and she's going to come on the show and talk to us.
I'll do that then, Chris. So she is the author of Save the Cat, the storytelling series, Between Burning Worlds, and very soon Suns Will Rise, which is the third book in the System Divine trilogy. She is a YouTuber and the founder of the Writing Mastery Academy writing school, and she's had over 20 novels published in over 20 languages. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jessica Brody. Hello to you.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is really cool, the way you have set this all up, and visuals and music. I'm just really impressed.
Oh, well, it makes up for the rest of the show, I guess.
The content, you mean?
Yeah. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, we're very happy to have you here, and your story is exceptional, and there's so many aspects to it. I'm not sure we're going to get through it all, but we hope you're really well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I actually did not know about the Goodreads scandal of 21. So I was like, secretly going, wait a minute, what? On my phone while you guys were talking. But other than that, doing well.
Have you seen? Did you actually get a look? Are you affected?
I didn't get a chance to, but I honestly don't look at Goodreads all that much. So I probably wouldn't notice if something changed. I'd be like, so I'm glad you said something. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. I honestly think that Goodreads is kind of the place where all the nasty reviews do come from anyway.
Well, I leave Goodreads for the readers. I don't think it's a place for authors. I know that authors like to promote there and do things there, but for me personally, I just can't handle it, so I stay away from Goodreads.
Brilliant. Okay, so Jessica, what we like to do very first in the show is figure out where people have come from and where writing started in that journey. So we want to go back to, I guess, before you knew writing was a kind of a path of yours, and what was the spark there? Where did that come from?
Well, the story goes that I was 7 years old, and I was in second grade, and the teacher asked us to write a book report, and they said it has to be a paragraph long, and I turned in 4 pages. And I've been sort of overwriting my assignments ever since. Ask any of my editors, and they're always cutting down my books by like at least 20,000 words. So the teacher made like a really big deal about it, and I just remember thinking, why is she making such a big deal about this? That was really easy. And it was the first time I sort of noticed that something came easy to me. And a lot of things did not come easy to me. I was not a very good reader. I wasn't very good at sports. And so it was sort of a moment of like, oh, well, maybe this is something that I'm good at. And I've been pretty much writing ever since.
Wow, that must have been, finding that as early as that must have really been your calling. And I guess, how did you feel about that? Was there some sort of judgment by the class at that point when you were handing in so much more work than they were?
I don't remember, actually. Nobody's ever asked about the rest of the reactions. That's a very writer thing to notice, is like, what were the background? What was everybody else saying? I don't really remember. But I mean, it's funny. I had that moment at 7 years old, and I thought, I want to be a writer. But then I think somewhere along the way, I sort of lost that. I became an adult, and as an adult, you think like, oh, I have to be really responsible, and being a writer is not a real job. I have to have a job with like dental insurance and a retirement plan and stuff. And that's when I went astray, and I majored in economics, and I wouldn't call it astray from the writer path. I majored in economics. I became a financial analyst, and I worked for a movie studio out in Hollywood. And I really enjoyed it, but I eventually got laid off, and that I figured was sort of a sign from the universe, like, hey, didn't you always want to be a writer? And that's when I decided to try the writing thing for for real, and I ended up selling a novel to a publisher, and then I've been selling books ever since. So it was a good layoff. It was a good sign.
It's really interesting how many people, the stories we've had on this show that have turned from not a bad, almost a terrible story in ways that, something bad has happened, but it's affected someone's path and put them back on the right track, or on the track that is now. So once that had happened and you'd gone from that career into starting writing, what was that process like, and where did that go from? And did you know where you were going at that point?
Well, I mean, all I knew was that I wanted to write a novel, and I had read a book called Bridget Jones's Diary, which you probably know. And I remember thinking I wasn't a very big reader when I was growing up. And so even as an adult, I wasn't a huge reader. I became a reader after I started writing. But I read this book, Bridget Jones's Diary, and it was the first book that I'd ever read that made me laugh so hard and made me think that she had written it for me, like purposely to entertain me, and which is, very selfish thing to think, but which obviously wasn't true. But it spoke to me in a way that books had never spoken to me. And I thought, well, I want to write books like that. And so I think it sort of opened my eyes to the kind of books that I wanted to write. I don't write Bridget Jones's Diary, but at the time I thought that's what I wanted to do. And so I tried to sell a book that was like a Bridget Jones's Diary, except it was an American in LA, and she was looking for love. So obviously it was a comedy. And so that never got published. And I think it was an important lesson to learn, is that you sort of have to find your own voice and your own style and your own story. And I was really, really trying hard to basically write another Bridget Jones's Diary. And so it's no surprise that didn't sell. And it also just didn't really have a very good story. And that's when I, found the Save the Cat method that I'm now write, part of that series. And it helped me learn about story. It sort of helped me tap into the story I wanted to tell. And the next book that I wrote was the one that I ended up selling.
Yeah. So Jessica, we've already had a few people comment on how much they love Save the Cat. And I remember reading it, and someone recommended it to me, and I was reading it in bed for the first time. And I was looking around, and I looked at my girlfriend, and I was like, whoa, it literally blew my mind because obviously got all the references in there to other popular fiction, and now I'm just obsessed with looking at the Save the Cat structure in films and programs that I'm watching and books that I'm reading. I'm like, oh yes, Save the Cat, there's that element. So how did that come about? What was the whole process in terms of getting involved with that, and then why did you want to be a part of that process and bring that sort of expertise to writers who were struggling?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had the exact same reaction, by the way. My mind was blown. I was sort of when I read the original screenwriting guide, I felt like I had stumbled upon some sort of secrets to the universe and nobody else knew. And again, it was written just for me, as you're sensing a theme here. But no, I was just like, how do more people not know about this? This is the secret. And for me, it was at the time, because I was trying to get published and I was failing. And once I read the original Save the Cat, I realized, wow, I have no idea how to tell a story. I just thought you sort of string together a bunch of scenes and they become a story, and that's not quite how it works. So I was actually given the book by a screenwriter friend who heard that I was trying to get published and not doing very well at it. And I ended up rewriting the book I was working on with the Save the Cat method, and that's the book that ended up selling. And I've sold 20 novels to major publishers, since then, and no book has been written without this method. So there's not one of my books that doesn't fit this method. And so it really, I just found that I was proof that it worked. But then I kind of thought, well, maybe it doesn't work for every book. Maybe it's just that I tend to write books that feel like screenplays or that read like movies or something. And so I started teaching the method to other novelists, and it was sort of like an experiment. Can other novelists take this and put that into their ideas? And I found that, yes, people were responding to the method, and they, it was helping them crack their story and tell it better. And from there, and this was all done in conjunction with the Save the Cat brand. So the original Save the Cat book was written by Blake Snyder, a screenwriter who passed away in 2009. And his legacy is kept alive by this great company, a very small and mighty company. And they kind of help keep the message and the method alive. So they're the ones that contacted me because I was blogging about using this method. They contacted me to teach. And then from there, just the workshops got very popular, and we just thought, we should write a book specifically for novelists. And then I got into this of like panic of like, oh my God, now I'm gonna have to read all of these books and sort of prove that this method is not new. It's just a different way of looking at story, or it's a way of codifying story so that it makes sense when you're approaching it from the blank page. And, I did that. And when I started to read the novels that I feature in the book as examples, I'm like, oh my gosh, Stephen King is using this method. Not really, but he's writing books that fit into this method. Jane Austen was using Save the Cat. But I was finding that all of these stories, these classic stories that we love, they fit into the method. And it just sort of proved it for me that it wasn't just it wasn't just like a fluke. It wasn't like a formula. It was just, this is a way of looking at story that makes sense and that fits most successful stories of all time.
Can we just rewind it a little bit though, because you kind of very briefly mentioned it, that when you first took this structure and put it back into your work, this was a piece of work that was rejected multiple times. You then used this method on that piece of work, and then it got picked up and published. What was that like? Was that like a groundbreaking moment for you, and did you think that was ever going to get published before that happened?
Well, so I had my Bridget Jones's Diary that I never really fixed, my Bridget Jones knockoff. And then I started a new book. And that's the one that I couldn't sell at first. And I was sending it around to agents. And I basically, didn't know what story was. And it was a cool concept. It just didn't really flow as a story. And then when I applied the Save the Cat method to it, it was just eye-opening. I immediately, from picking up the book, within like 10 pages, I knew already I had done like 10 things wrong. I was like, oh, no wonder that doesn't work. But unfortunately, the feedback I was getting from agents, it wasn't super helpful. It was just like, there's no story here, or the structure feels off, or something like that. And I didn't quite know what that meant until I learned what a structure was. So it was just a really, really interesting experience. And I still learn with every book I write. I still learn something new about structure. Like I still am constantly fine tuning the way I look at the beat sheet and the way that I interpret the beats. And it's just it's a never ending learning curve that I love.
I think there's no story is a really harsh comment from a response. I mean, as a writer, you're thinking, okay, I've got a story to tell, and they're saying there's no story. Without a bit of clarity, that's pretty harsh.
It was probably it's taken out of context, but some agents, they send really nice rejection letters, and some agents send really mean rejection letters. Like they go out of their way to specifically be mean to you, and I don't understand that, but that's the way it is, I guess.
I mean, talking about agents is sort of a loose segue, but I know there's been several agents that have recommended to me in the past, have you read Save the Cat, in terms of that structure, especially when I was querying the first time round. And I'd found that mind-blowing that agents know that this is a sort of like a recommendation of like quality in terms of, if you followed the Save the Cat structure, then my impression is that they're more likely to entertain it, because they know that it's going to be, at the very least, even if the story is not very good, it's going to be well structured. So how does that feel, knowing that you're helping writers to such an extent in terms of like, they were struggling maybe in the position that you were in, and now because of what you've done and how you've adapted this method to writing a novel, that some people are now possibly getting picked. I mean, I know of a few people that have been picked up as a result of reading Save the Cat and changing the novel. So how does that feel?
I mean, it's amazing. Like just hearing you say that, I get teary eyed. I just recently learned that you're maybe the second or third person who's told me that they're hearing that agents are recommending the book, and I'm blown away by that. So cool. But to me, it makes sense. Like, even if I hadn't written the book, it makes sense to recommend a structure that a lot of people are finding easy to follow. It's not, I didn't invent this, and Blake Snyder didn't really even invent it. He just sort of labeled things differently and found a different way to explain it to people that makes sense to them. And I think, once you, like you said, even if the story is not very good, if the structure is sound, you can work with it. So like one of the first things I do with revising is I get the structure down. And then I go in and I start making things pretty, and I start, tweaking descriptions and making sure the dialogue doesn't stink, and making sure the characters are described well, or whatever else needs to be done. But once you have that structure, it is so much easier to work with a story. So I think it's smart for agents to be recommending a structure method to start with, just because once you get that locked in, you can really dig in and make the story shine more. So it's sort of like building a foundation of a house on like a really shaky foundation. If you don't have the foundation done, like the house is just going to topple no matter how well you decorate it. So you got to like get that foundation down, and then you can go in and like decide where to hang the paintings and what color to carpet to use and stuff. But I mean, it's just, it blows my mind. And I didn't really answer your question, but I am starting, the book's now been out for 2.5 years. And I am starting to get some of these feedback of like, oh, I got an agent, or I sold the book, or I think just got an email from someone whose book just came out and they used it. And like, I pretty much start crying every time. It's so rewarding, and also just super surreal, I think.
Yeah. And Chris has muted himself, and now he's chatting to him.
Sorry, guys. Let me ask you a question. Chris has obviously read this book, and he's a big advocate of this. I am someone who writes willy-nilly, pantsing out just writing blindly. Not much structure probably there. So as someone who hasn't read this book, and someone who probably needs a bit of guidance and structure, what little bit of snippet advice can you give me from this story that would entice me to go and buy this book, and to want to put some structure into my work? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing that I say to all writers is structure has to be added in somewhere. Some writers like to do the structure work up front. I'm a plotter. So, the plotters, we like to figure it out where we're going to go, and things change as we go, but we always like to have a plan. And pantsers are the other way. They just sort of want to figure things out as they go. They want to be surprised. I totally get both of them. But at some point, you're going to have to structure the story. And what pantsers usually do is they usually write a messy first draft, and they figure it out, and they discover things, and they gather lots of pieces, really. And then they, in the first, second, third revision is when they come in and they go, okay, now I have to structure it so it really works. And that's where the Save the Cat method can help pantsers, is sort of after the fact, to figure out, okay, I have all these pieces, where do they go? So I always think of writing a first draft as writing a book is putting together a giant puzzle. And really the first step is you have to paint the puzzle you have to paint the pictures onto the puzzle pieces. And then the next step is you have to figure out where they go and which pieces don't even fit into the puzzle. And so there's always a discovery process as you're painting pictures onto puzzle pieces. And you never quite know what's going to be revealed until you put it all together. But at some point you're going to have to put it all together. Otherwise you're going to be handing someone, a box of loose pieces. So,
I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for a pantser that then discovers Save the Cat and reads it and then goes, I should have just read it the first time round. That would be my advice. If you are a pantser and you've not read Save the Cat, just go and get it. You'll save yourself a whole host of trouble.
But I will say, if you are a pantser and you're afraid of the word structure, which a lot of pantsers are, and that's totally fine, then just wait. Like, write the book the way you want to write it. I never want to change people's process, because I think that every process is sacred and is only for you, and you should do you. But then when you are setting out to revise, then look at something like Save the Cat or any structure method to finally go, okay, now I know where I need to put things, what I'm missing, what goes where, what doesn't connect. And it'll really just help you manage that whole revision process.
You'll kick yourself, because I did the exact same thing, because I wrote almost the whole entirety of my second novel, and then after reading Save the Cat, I went, yeah, we're going to have to go back and change it.
Well, Chris, you know that I'm going through drafts of my book that I've got a massive hope for, and I'm now going to have to do this. And I'm terrified it's going to give me a lot more work to do, but
it will. I've been banging on about it, Chris. I said, read Save the Cat, read Save the Cat, read Save the Cat. And he's very busy, to be fair to him, in terms of production and stuff, but he's going to kick himself.
I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. So, Jessica, it does sound absolutely amazing, and I'm going to have to pick this up and put all that into my new work. So, Chris, I will listen to your recommendation, but let's talk about Jessica's other work, because there's so much more you've done, and many different genres as well. Can you talk about maybe, I I don't know what's kind of happening with you, and because you write YA novels, you write young adult, tween is another sort of genre you write. So why is there so many different genres in your work, and what kind of do you prefer to write in?
There's so much genres in my work because I get bored. I like to write different types of novels. I like to challenge myself. I always say every book I've ever written is the hardest book I've ever written, because I'm always trying to like push the envelope of the plot that I'm doing, the character complexity that I'm working with. If a story ever feels easy to me, then I know I didn't try hard enough. So that being said, like, it helps to just kind of keep moving things around and changing genres. So yeah, I started out writing for adults. I started out writing like generic kind of fiction, and then I transferred into young adult contemporary. Then I tried writing. I did. I mean, who knows? But I wrote a young adult sci-fi thriller trilogy called the Unremembered trilogy. And then I was like, okay, no more sci-fi. That was too complicated. So I went back to writing contemporary. Then I started writing magical realism young adult, like where it was basically contemporary with like a small magical twist. I wrote a few of those that I loved writing those. And then I got bored with that. And so then I wrote a space opera, which finishes up this year in August, the System Divine series that I co-wrote with someone, which is a whole other challenge. It's super fun. That's a sci-fi reimagining of Victor Hugo's Les Misérables. So first space opera, first retelling, and first co-written project. So it was kind of 3 challenges in one. And right now I'm revising another middle grade contemporary realistic fiction. So I sort of am all over the place. And next, I really want to write a mystery, like a true mystery crime thriller, something or other. So we'll see.
Nice. And Jessica, how do you find the time to, obviously you're writing, you're on YouTube, you're doing the writing school as well, and you're promoting obviously all your books as well. So what's a typical day look like for you?
Well, I like to divide up my day into blocks. So I do these sort of uninterrupted, distraction-free working blocks, and they're usually between 2 and 3 hours. So I have a morning block, I have an afternoon block, and I have an early evening block. And that's when I, shut down all my emails, all my social media, no notifications, no dinging, no nothing. And I just, get to work for that set amount of time. And I find that by segmenting it out throughout the day, I can really like refocus my attention. So I always start with whatever I'm the most creatively demanding project is in the morning when I'm freshest. So typically that's one of my novels, either drafting or revising it. And then throughout the day, as I get sort of more tired, I kind of sparse things out based on how much creative mental energy they require. Because I can do pretty like a lot of busy work like in the evening. So just based like blocking out my day that way is like allows me to get a lot done.
This is one thing I mentioned on Twitter this morning, and I read something that I'm not sure where I saw it, maybe on your website or a post perhaps, and you'd mentioned your morning routine, waking up, checking social media, checking emails, checking social media, checking your sales rankings, and it's something that I do religiously every day and go around in this circle.
That's what I don't do anymore.
That's
what I used to do.
You mentioned that you'd broken out of this and you've become a lot more productive, and you've got a great routine in the morning now. Where did that come from, and how did you make that change, and why did you make that change?
Well, it started when it started a few years back. I think I'm going to say like 2015, and I was starting a new project that I was really excited about. And I was in my same spiral of I would wake up, I would check email, I would check social media, I would check sales ranks. I would do like all the other things that I could do instead of write, which, I'll get to later, but doesn't make a lot of sense when you're saying like, I want to be a writer, and yet you do everything to not write. So one morning in particular, I think I checked my email and I got some sort of like not great news. I mean, it wasn't devastating news. It was just something, like a bad review from something, or I don't even remember what it was, but it like threw off my whole morning, and I didn't want to write, and I got all grumpy and like was like, I just want to sit here and stew about it. And I think it was my husband who said something like, you just let that one email like ruin your whole day and keep you from doing something that you claim to love. And it was just this eye-opening like shift in my mindset. I was like, you're right. And I do that every single morning, and it's always a crapshoot of what's going to be in my inbox. And is it going to like, trigger me? And is it going to create an inspiration to write, or is it going to ruin my motivation to write? And normally it was the second one. And so then I just started to think about it differently. And I thought to myself, like, Jessica, are you a professional writer or are you a professional emailer? Are you a professional writer or are you a professional Facebooker? And like every time I would ask that question, it'd be like, duh, I'm a professional writer. And it's like, then why are you doing that first when you have the most brain power and the most like energy and all of that? So it was just sort of this mindset shift, and it has made such a huge difference. I basically claim it's the reason I'm able to write basically 4 books a year. The equivalent of 4 books a year is just from not checking email first. It sounds so simple, but like if you write first thing in the morning without doing anything else, it will be a game changer for you.
I'm very jealous of the people that, get up at the break of dawn, go for a run. They get so much productivity before anyone's even awake. And I wake up thinking, I'll do this today. And I'm awake early, and I just look at my phone and the time's gone. I'm like, oh, I just wasted all of that.
Well, I'm not that hardcore. I mean, I wake up at like 7, not like 4:30.
So Jessica, we have a few staple questions that we ask on the writing community section. Chris, are you doing a video for that? Because I feel like I've
I can
gone a little
do.
bit quicker.
Yeah,
normally we have a video.
Well, let's do. There's a couple going around now, so let's pick one.
No, these are our staple questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll ask them. Right, okay, we got confused there. I thought there was a video.
I'll just do this random one, and then you can talk about it. Why not?
Love that. Okay. Yeah. The first of the staple questions is, if you could take anybody's character from fiction and make that character your own and write a story with them or include them into one of your stories that you've already done, which character would you pick and why?
I've already done it. I mean, I would pick Eponine from Les Misérables, who we made into our Chatine character in our retelling in System Divine. And then the second character I would pick would be Emma from Jane Austen. And I did an loose Emma retelling as a middle grade in the book that just came out last month called I Speak Boy.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah. So this is my Emma retelling. So that's what's really fun about retellings, is you get to do exactly that.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Any characters that you've not done yet that you want to maybe go into?
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to think. I mean, anything that Leigh Bardugo writes, like she writes amazing characters. I don't know if I could do them justice the way she does them justice, but like I would love to put Kaz Brecker in a book, or maybe Nina from Six of Crows. Like she writes such good characters, but I'd probably just ruin them. So I'll let her deal. I'll let her write her own characters.
So the next question would be, you just did the character, Chris, right?
Yeah, I did the character.
Yeah. So if you could take the ending to any literature, whether it be books, TV, or film, and change it an ending, adapt it, improve it, make it whatever, what would you choose and why?
The ending of Dexter.
Ooh,
I hated that ending.
Good choice.
I mean,
they hated it as well. That's why they're trying to rectify it.
Oh, really? I mean,
yeah, there's a season 9 coming.
Oh my gosh, no way.
So
yeah,
it hasn't ended,
See, I'm learning so much from your show. Goodreads, Dexter season 9. It's funny, like when I don't like endings, I tend to try to think of why the writer did it that way. Like I try to kind of get into their head. Like a lot of people didn't like the ending of How I Met Your Mother. And I sort of like, I was like, okay, I get it. I get why they did it that way. Like I understand that it was sort of a way for them to bring threads together. And I respect that. So I feel like I respect the endings of things. I just don't necessarily agree with them all the time. But as a writer who has written a controversial ending, the ending of my Unremembered trilogy has gotten some people who disagree with the way I ended it. But to me, it was the only way it could have ended. So I like to think that the writer thinks that too, of like, this is the only way it could end.
How did you?
Like people are either agreeing with me or like Dexter, no,
It's pretty.
How I Met Your Mother, lame.
How did you deal with it? Criticism to an ending. Even if you swore by that, did you kind of doubt yourself at that point?
You sort of, I don't know, for me personally, like I kind of dig in my heels a little more. I'm like, no, like, and the fact that I knew people weren't going to agree with it. I knew people were going to question it. And in my mind, I always said, like, if you question it, you don't get it, which is like really mean. But no, like there's something very, I tried to make it really, I tried to like make it really deep, like the way that I tried to end it, so that it wasn't the ending that people were really expecting, but it was an ending that would still sort of tie things up in a way that fits with the ending they expected, but it wasn't the ending they expected. And so I thought the way that I did it was very clever. Some people disagree, but then I just say like, "Well, you didn't get it."
Yeah, don't worry about them. They're not clever enough to understand it.
No, I don't want to insult any of my readers because I love my readers. But I do. I challenge people sometimes. Like I don't always respond to those kinds of emails, but when people do really like want to have a conversation about it, and they seem open to hearing another way of thinking about it, then I will really challenge them to be like, "Well, what about it? Like, what if we had done it your way? How would that have changed?" And I try to get them to come around to realize that the ending that they wanted was sort of unrealistic.
There's two people in this world, Jessica. People like you who would do the right thing, and there's people that would just put them in the junk. And well done for being that person.
Yeah. One of the final sort of staple questions that we have is a little bit morbid. In fact, both of these questions are a little bit morbid. But if you're looking at writing a mystery or a crime thriller next, then they might tie in. But the first one is, if you could resurrect any author that has died and collaborate with them on the condition that you then had to kill them, which author would you resurrect and how would you kill them?
I was going to say, this doesn't sound very morbid. This sounds very wish fulfillment until you got to the second half.
Wait for it.
Geez. I don't know. You're asking me to kill people I like. I mean, I guess I would go with Jane Austen. I would hate to kill Jane because she seems so nice, but she's such a, I adore her books. I adore the way that she challenged society at a time when people weren't doing that. And I think she's such a feminist role model as an author. And so I would love to collaborate with her. Although I just don't think I could write in the kind of flowery language that she uses. You know, her sentences are like half a page long, but maybe. But then how would I kill her?
Yep.
I'd do something like really, I think I'd probably do something like really, not, I don't want to say nice, but kind of sneaky, like poison her. So that like nobody really knew it was me.
You're not the first person to poison Jane Austen.
It's sort of a coward's way out, right? Like,
yeah, I think it's...
I would poison her tea, right?
Like it. No, that works. It works. It's a death. It's fine. And the second part of that sort of morbid question is, you're on your deathbed and you're looking back at your writing career.
Who killed me and how?
Well, we're going to leave your death up to natural, like, just let that happen naturally at some point. But you're on your deathbed, you're looking back at your writing career. What would you be happy with, and what is success to you?
So you're saying that, like, if my deathbed came tomorrow, how would I?
No, I'm saying when it eventually arrives, you have time to reflect back on your career.
You know, when you're old and cozy in bed, you know.
Yeah, hopefully it's,
drinking my poisoned tea.
Yeah.
Reading a Jane Austen novel.
She's came back to avenge her death. So what would I look back on and
reflect? What would you be really like? Do you know what, that was great. I'm glad I did that before I popped my clogs.
Well, I mean, I think it goes back to what you said earlier. Just the being able to help writers has been such a rewarding experience. I think I love writing novels and I love getting reactions from readers and I love interacting with my readers. And I love when readers are like, write a sequel to this book that I have no intention of writing a sequel to. Like, those are really happy moments. But I don't think there's anything as rewarding as helping someone else write a novel, at least for me. And so writing Save the Cat creating the Writing Mastery Academy has just been just levels above in terms of feeling like I'm contributing to the writing world. So that for sure. And then, sorry, what was the second half? What do I wish I had
you've
done?
you've kind of answered it. I'm going to flip it a little bit. So let's say one person, let's say this person's on death row. They have time to read one book, and they're going to read one of your books, but they can only read one. So which one are you going to pick for them to read, and why?
Well, probably not one of my series, because they all end in cliffhangers, and that would be really mean. You're going to die, and you have no idea how this ends.
They're like, what? No way!
Good question. So there's different ways I can go. I could go with a comedy to kind of lighten the mood. I have a sort of a book about grief that might help them process what's about to happen to them in a way. I'll go with one of my comedies. I would say 52 Reasons to Hate My Father. It's one of my funnier books, and it might just be like a nice distraction from the death row.
I feel like you need to give that to Chris, because he's coming up with so many dark questions at the moment. I'm a bit worried.
No, sorry, I don't know why I twisted that one, but it seemed like a good one, because obviously he's written a lot of books, so it was kind of a strange way of asking which one's your favourite or which one should people read.
Well, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's definitely, I think it's one of the funnier ones.
Okay,
Bro,
what
that's a good
we're
choice.
going to do now is we're going to do the new writing community family member, and this is when someone's followed us on Twitter. We're going to give them a bit of a boost and a bit of a follow, and we're going to send them an attack of gifts. Are you aware of what a GIF is, Jessica?
Yeah, I think so, unless they changed it on me.
No, I don't think so. So
Newsflash, they've changed what a GIF is.
Yeah.
It's now really pronounced GIF. Okay.
Oh, well, it is apparently. I can't handle that. I just do it GIF.
Yeah.
It's my way.
See, Jif is a cleaning product in the UK, so that's probably why we don't say it. It's a bleach.
Well, it's a peanut butter here.
Oh,
What?
nice.
Yeah, Jif.
Don't get those
It's
two
peanut
mixed
butter.
up.
Yeah, and actually,
One's a bleach, one's a peanut butter.
I think the peanut butter company actually did a campaign that said it's pronounced GIF. And then they did like a jar of their peanut butter with the word GIF on. I don't remember. They did like a whole joke about how people mispronounce the word GIF or GIF, whatever. The Jif peanut butter company did
I
that.
just proved it. I can't believe that. That's a bit of a weird one. It sounds nothing like peanut butter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
so
Well,
let me play this video, and we will get into the new family member. We won't. We'll talk about the new family member, and Chris can send them a video. Oh, no, a GIF, a GIF, whatever it was. So this week's the second of this week's family members is Mark at Many Paths. He is a writer. No, he's not a writer and coffee. He's writer, coffee, top-notch bakeries. He really likes a coffee and a bakery. Good mystery thrillers, politics, all things French. He has 570 followers. That is indeed him with a big smiley face in his profile. Jessica, what GIF are we sending this person?
Oh, I have to pick?
Yes, you do. And it can be anything at all. We've had the most random things in the world as choices before. So it can be anything you want.
So how do I pick? I don't know all the gifts. Do I just like give you a...
Just give me one and I'll type it in, and then we'll send it, and anyone watching, hopefully we'll send it to him as well, and he'll have a bit of a bombardment of GIFs.
So I've got to find one now.
You don't have to. I mean, just give us a subject and we can find a GIF of.
Yeah, some people pick their favourites.
Well, I'll do one. So since he wrote coffee and writer, there's a really funny one from Bruce Almighty where he's like writing really fast, as if he's just taken like a lot of coffee. But really it's because he has God's powers, which I guess,
yeah, I know.
You know, coffee kind of makes you feel like you have God's powers.
Bruce Almighty, I think. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Almighty. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it's Bruce Almighty. Yeah. Right, so we'll send that. Done. New family member.
So sorry.
I was going to say, if you're watching now, please send one as well. Bruce Almighty. Boom.
He's going to get like a million of them.
Jessica, while people are doing that, normally Chris is still doing that, so that's why I asked this question. While they're doing that, is there an author that you're reading at the moment that maybe people don't know too much that you would recommend as people to look into?
Oof, gosh, I love this question, and I always feel so much pressure. Like I have to, pick. I have to pick someone that's really special. Let's see. Who have I read lately? So I'm reading right now. I'm reading "Shatter Me" by Tahira Mafi, which a lot of people know already. So I'm gonna go with. I'm a big fan of Jessica Brody, who writes fantasy and sci-fi. She has a bunch of middle grade and a bunch of YA. She has this great series out on, it's out on Audible, but it's also out in hardcover called The Mistwick School for Music Craft. And it's like if Harry Potter was at a music school and all of the spells are basically kids playing, you have to play the spells on different instruments. So it's really, really fun story. And the audiobook is enhanced. So all of the spells and all of the music playing is actually done with like an actual children's youth orchestra that's been recorded.
That sounds
cool.
real.
Anya in the chat, she's written peanuts, brown sugar, cayenne pepper, black pepper, paprika, smiley face. What is that, Anya?
Are we supposed to know what that means?
Do I dare ask?
Is it a recipe?
I don't know.
It's sort of an odd recipe.
Yeah.
It sounds at the beginning it sounds like a cookie, and then it kind of goes in a different direction.
A cookie, maybe. Let me just play this video, and then we will get into some question time. So if you guys have questions for Jessica, for the Chris's, for the show, for all of us in together, put them in the chat right now, and we will put some on screen, and we will answer them if we can. I'm here to talk about the amazing ProWritingAid and how I wish I had this software in my first 2 novels. I'm writing my 3rd at the moment, and I really want to get it sent off to a real publisher, and this is going to make all the difference.
Yeah, if you want to get yourself agent ready, then this is definitely the tool for you. And it's got a really cool tool where you can compare your writing to somebody else's. So you can compare your work to Stephen King or Paul Hawkins. Yeah, really test yourself. Go to town. It's fun.
It is fantastic. And if you click on the link in the description of the podcast or the YouTube video, you will find a 20% discount affiliate link, which will help us out and help yourself out. So please check out ProWritingAid today. Do you know that kind of freaked me out because I was wearing exactly the same top in that video as I am right now?
I know. I thought you guys like cut away to do this little skit. Like, really impressive.
We're that talented. We just did that in one go. Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
So let's get some questions from the community, and please send them in, and I will play another video. We've timed this wrong, Chris. Too many videos. Anyway, so first question from Anya. Is there an answer? Apparently that's a recipe for Cajun peanut butter. That sounds weird.
We all need that
in our life. Going with the GIF theme.
Yeah.
You guys don't really do peanut butter over there, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you do? Is it become more popular?
Has it not been popular?
I don't know. I just thought it was such an American thing. When I lived in France, everybody was like, peanut butter. Whoa.
Yeah, the French are food snobs.
I know you're not French. I was just thinking, like, I thought it was such an American
Close
thing.
enough, I suppose.
That was as good as my accent. My accent's that good as well. So Anya has got a question. She says, just like there are heroes and anti-heroes, is there a Save the Cat, which is the and what's that word of the
antithesis?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Of this model. Yeah. So a lot of people ask me about using Save the Cat for a villain story or like a reverse arc. And essentially it kind of works the same. It works in a little bit in reverse. Not that you would reverse all the beats, but that the beats themselves would take a character from one point to something worse than where they started, versus a traditional hero arc takes a character from being flawed to being a little bit less flawed. And so you would reverse that, and you would take the character from being flawed to being even more flawed. So all of the beats of the Save the Cat method would actually serve to worsen their condition, I don't want to say, but worsen their personality or bring out the dark side of their personality, versus improve upon their personality. And one that I love to study is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, where she does the Coriolanus Snow backstory, whatever, origin story. And it seems to follow a Save the Cat arc where you sort of think, oh, actually he's gonna he's going to choose the right path at the end, and he doesn't. So it's a very similar beats. It just has a different sort of result.
It's interesting.
Great advice.
Okay, so Tanya, hello to you. Jessica, what perspective do you enjoy writing in the most?
I would say I like first person present tense. It's where I feel the most comfortable. And so it's kind of my default perspective. And most of my novels are written in first person present tense. And then when I really want to kind of do something different and shake things up, I will write in third person. The System Divine trilogy is written all in third person past tense. So that's one of the ones that I kind of challenge myself to do something a little different.
That is tricky. I mean, that was written, as you said, like in a musical kind of way. I mean, how hard was that to write in that third person, as opposed to first person in that story?
Well, my co-author and I chose to do third person for a couple of reasons. One is there's three main characters, so I find that it's easier if you're going to switch POV to write in third person. That being said, it's not impossible to write in first person, multiple point of view. And there's obviously a lot of great novels that do that. Girl on the Train, One of Us is Lying. I could think of some others. Sun is also a Star, but it's trickier in that you have to like really, really differentiate those voices to a point where the reader can really tell who's who. And if you're using I and me, it's more challenging. So that was one of the first reasons we did it. And the second reason is because we were co-writing and we were going to trade off. We felt that first person would be too hard for both of us to match the same voice. Third person definitely has to have voice. It just doesn't have to have as much voice, or the voice doesn't have to be like as much of a star as it is in third person.
Is this your first sort of project working with another author?
Yeah, it was. And it was really fun, really challenging, but you do have to pick the right partner. I did, fortunately. We had a great time, but I could see how the process would not be as successful if I had chosen a different partner. The thing that we had both going for us really well, which was we recognized each other's strengths, and we both were able to put egos, leave egos at the door, so that we weren't kind of batting heads the whole time.
Connor's come up with a great question from the writing community, which is brilliant. And it just says, what is the most common misconception / misunderstanding about Save the Cat that you've come across?
I know exactly what to answer in this one, is that it's a quote formula. A lot of people say, well, it sounds like a formula, or it sounds formulaic. And it's one way to think about it. But the way that I kind of answer that is I say, well, I mean, if you look at the expanse of novels that I break down in the book, and you were to say those are all formulaic, like Stephen King and Jane Austen and Charles Dickens and Paula Hawkins and Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Like, if you were to say those are all formulaic, then yes, it is a formula, but basically it's a formula for a successful story. And, because it is a method that can be found in every novel, even before the method, quote, existed, I see it less as a formula and more as a codification of story, or a way to break down story into a blueprint. But then the way that you make it, quote, unformulaic is by putting your own creative spin on it. And it's the reason that we can use stories like Grapes of Wrath and Ready Player One and find the exact same beats in them, not because it's a formula, but because they're both stories.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got a fantastic question from Halo, a classic Halo question. She says, if you could choose characters from one of your books to kill characters in another one of your books, which would you choose?
Gosh, what's all the killing today?
I know, it's
not even 2:00 here yet. Okay, characters from one book to kill characters in another book. Well, I do have. None of my characters are very murderous. I mean, I have, I guess I have bad guys. I guess I can use the bad guys. I would definitely have well, I can't tell you who the bad guy is in one of them because it's a spoiler. I'll just say I'll have the bad guy from System Divine kill the bad guy from the Unremembered trilogy, because the bad guy from the Unremembered trilogy is kind of a wuss. I mean, in reality, like he puts on a good show, but he wouldn't stand up in a fight, like a real fight. So I think I would do that.
So Jessica, tell us a little bit more before we go about the mastery, the writing mastery program, and what that's all about, and how, if anyone's watching now that really wants to get involved with that, how they could do that as well.
Yeah, so you can go to writingmastery.com, or you can also go to my website, jessicabrody.com, and click on online writing courses. The Writing Mastery Academy is my online writing school. It is an all-inclusive program where you pay, I think right now it's $12 a month, and you get access to all my online writing courses, which right now is about 8 or 9 courses. And this covers everything from plotting, the Save the Cat method, idea generation, revision, fast drafting, productivity, writer's block, character development. There's lots of different courses. And then we do monthly webinars that you also get access to. Oh, cool. There it is. Yes. So if you join for $12 a month, then you get access to everything. And so it's a little bit like a Netflix model. You do everything at your own pace. You can binge watch all the shows, all the courses at once. You can take them at your own pace in any order. And there are some of the courses: novel fast drafting, crafting dynamic characters, Save the Cat. So we have the official Save the Cat novel writing course on there, which corresponds with the book. You don't have to have read the book to take the course. It's sort of, you can do either or both. So yeah, take a look if you'd like.
Okay, one more question, maybe. Yeah, we'll have one more. Oh, 2 more. Go on, we'll have 2.
Okay.
Hello, most annoying word, question mark.
Oh, well, I have 3 words that I hate, and they're wait, I forgot the third one. I've blocked it from my mind. Okay, I'll just do 2. It's panties and pocketbook. I don't know if do you guys have the word pocketbook in the UK?
No.
No,
Is that it's like a small notebook.
No, see, you would think, right? It's a very East Coast word here, and it means it's like a woman's purse. But on the East Coast, they call them pocketbooks, and I'm always like, what? It doesn't go in your pocket. It's not a book. It's not, and it's just this funny word that is like, put it in my pocketbook. And I'm like, oh. So I don't like that word, and I don't like the word panties, which is a common annoying word here.
Yeah. That's a good answer. I was going to ask Tanya one of your questions, but we've kind of covered that already, so I'll skip on. And I'm going to have to ask 2 more now because, okay, let's put that there. How about moist for Mario?
Oh, I don't mind moist. I know that a lot of people don't like that word. I sort of don't mind it. Like, especially, I'm a big fan of baking, and I watch the Great British Bake Off, and you have to use moist if you're going to bake cakes.
Exactly. Where is Jessica? Where is Jessica from?
Oh, I live near Portland, Oregon, on the west coast of the States.
Okay, and the final question, before we wrap it up, is from Connor and says, why call it Save the Cat? What have you got against dogs?
Yeah, okay. I'm surprised that this didn't come up till the very end. Okay, so I have nothing against dogs. I actually have 3 dogs, and I have no cats. So there you go. Save the Cat is actually not one of the beats in the method. It's Oregon is so beautiful. Yes, it is. Thank you. Save the Cat is a writing hack that is from the original writing tip from the original Save the Cat book. And basically what it is if you have an unlikable character, in order to get the audience or the reader on their side within the first, 50 pages of the novel, you want them to, quote, save a cat. And that really just means they need to do something redemptive that kind of makes the audience go, oh, well, they're worth rooting for. And that can be literally saving a cat, like from a tree or a shelter, or it can be just something that kind of makes them endearing to the reader. So some of the more famous Save the Cat moments are like from the movie Aladdin, when the opening scene, he's like stealing a loaf of bread and he's being chased by, cops. And then what does he do with the bread? He gives it to a homeless woman and her daughter and her child. And then the other one that I love, which is actual literal Save the Cat, is from the opening of Hunger Games, where she talks about how she hates the cat, but she keeps it around because it makes her sister happy. So she literally saves the cat, even though she says that she could just eat it. she does say that. She's like, I could eat you because I'm very hungry, but I won't. So she every day saves that cat.
That's a great answer. 2 things to note. Where's it gone? Lalai says, what are panties? And then Joanne says, I never use panties ever. I'm not sure what
I
you
don't
mean
know
by
if she
that.
means the word or the thing, but
Yep.
Yeah.
let's hope she means the word, maybe. Okay, so so this word thing is not translating, I guess, from like American and English.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have to explain what panties are. I mean,
all right.
It's an interesting
that's what Google's
conversation.
for. So,
But I think I always
Googling,
thought
go
it was really funny that you guys call pants are like underwear, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah.
word, damn it. Yeah. Is that not true that that you use pants as underwear?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the underwear. If it's male
we don't-
underwear, we might
we
say
call them-
boxers or briefs or shorts or... Yeah, and
So-
if it's female...
Pants can mean both trousers and
No.
underwear?
No,
No.
we
I
call
think so.
trousers.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, we call
And
trousers
again,
pants.
yeah, it depends on the pants, because you could have formal pants, you could have tracksuit bottoms, you could have joggers. Yeah, so like we have lots of different names for pants.
Lots of pants. Anyway, let's wrap this
Yeah.
random conversation up, and let's wrap the show up. Jessica, we've gone over an hour, which is unusual for us, but that's a testament
that
to how
note.
much fun this show was. Yeah, on that note of pants and not wearing pants, Joe. Jessica, again, you mentioned your website, but where can people find your latest work? Where can people go and find all your information?
JessicaBrody.com is the best way, or I'm on at Jessica Brody on Twitter and Instagram.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Guys, we will be back next week, and we do indeed have Chris loves pants. Yeah. We do indeed have some big announcements coming up for this show in the future, the short term. And indeed, we have the Harrogate Crime Writers Festival that we're going to next month, which is getting closer and closer by the day. So we're very excited. So please do stick around and subscribe if you haven't already. I imagine most of you have. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you, and we will see you next week. So please be safe.
Yeah, before we go, Chris, can we mention Monday's guest?
You can.
Okay, so Monday's guest, if you have a child or a small child and you've read The Gruffalo, then that's probably one of the most famous books that she's written, but Julia Donaldson is coming on the show. So if you know any children's authors, or you have any aspirations to be a children's author, or you just love writing and want to come and watch that show, then please, we're doing a show on Monday, which is a bit different. We don't normally do Monday shows, but please check that show out on Monday. And if you have small children, bring them along, because they might enjoy it as well. And we'll keep it a very PG show on Monday. We won't be drinking and we won't be swearing.
Says you. No, honestly, Julie Donaldson, my daughter, is in love with that woman's books and has been for a long time. So it's going to be super fun, and we can't wait for that show. So guys, please tune in and be safe and look after yourselves. Thank you from us. We will see you next week. Bye, guys.